Hi, good evening, guys. It's July 30, and as always, this is another session or another episode of the Philippine stock market insights for July 30. And we are going to review some stocks that we have in the Philippine Stock Exchange. And if you have requests on which stock to review, we can do that together. Go ahead and drop a message and we can review that for you guys. In the meantime, let's wait for some people to join. I am currently inside Instagrams, and this is the landing page of Instagrams. And if you want to go check out the chart, at the upper right hand side, you will see some icons. You will see chart here, and then just click that and you should be routed to the tool. And let's check out, first of all, let's check out some stocks that are already in my watch list for ATN. Let's go through this first. ATN dipped, and let's first open my Bollinger Band and RSI. Okay. For ISM, overall, this is making a sideways movement. It has been in this type of movement for quite some time now. Almost half a year of sideways here, but definitely this stock is very promising because this is involved in the build projects of the Duterte administration. So if you want to enter in the stock, we are currently forming a support at the 128, 129 level. So let's try to draw some line here. This is the support area. For several times, it hit that area and it bounces back upward. And also notice the RSI is forming an upward. It's moving up. There you go. Okay. For east-west is starting to move up. It bounced in at the MA20 area, so that line, as always, you've seen in the previous days, it bounces at that area. There was no significant movement for food. Green, we've seen a 2.27 increase in the price today. So it looks like this has confirmed the support and is now starting to reverse. Look, this is the support area of green. It hit that area for 3 times, 3 consecutive days. It hit that area, and then on the third day, it bounces upward. So hopefully, this is going to start the reversal. ISM dipped some more. Okay, so we're still unsure. It could still potentially dip further. And if it does, maybe if it reaches the 4 peso, 450 area, then if you want, you can buy some more. If you are interested in this stock, which is involved in the third telco. So the third telco did a backdoor in ISM, and Now, this is part, or this stock is associated with the Udena company, of course, owned by Dennis Uy. So this might give us some significant movements in the days to come, not right away, but probably first quarter of next year when they start accepting subscribers. Okay, just checking if we have some people. Guys, if you have some stocks you'd like us to review, please drop a comment. We'll review that for you. Next is JFC. JFC is starting to move upward. It did a heavy selling in the previous days when they announced the acquisition of Coffee Bean. But again, this stock is very stable, so nothing to worry. In fact, this is a great opportunity to buy some more, especially we've experienced some dip, because eventually this stock is going to gain momentum and it'll go rally up. LPZ. LPZ has bounced at the MA20 area and ended the price at 4.57. So we're bullish now. Potentially, it will give us more greens in the coming days. LTG dipped. Okay, so if you're interested in this stock, this is not a perfect time yet because it ended outside the lower Bollinger Band. When that happens, sometimes it can go further down. So if you really want to get in this stock, wait for it to, let's say, stabilizes. If it goes further down, wait for it to reach at the oversold area. Okay, right at this area, that's the oversold area. Then wait for a confirmation, and then that's the time you enter. MRC dipped a little bit, and hopefully we are going to form a support in this area. Personally, I was able to get in the stock at 0.32 area. So I hope it stops at the 0.33 area and it bounces back up, because this is already very cheap for MRC. Let's look at SMPH. SMPH is another stock that is really good for long-term investment. We are hitting again the support area for SMPH. So this is a good time you accumulate volume or accumulate stocks or shares for SMPH, as it might bounce back up anytime soon. There. Okay, let's try to check other stocks. IDC. Wow, this is the reason why I don't really look at those stocks with big movements for the day, because tendency is it will really give you a high price, so it's not ideal to get in an IDC because this is already way too high, and our indicator we only get in when it's oversold. And this is just my style, because there are so many styles when you trade. We find the stock attractive when it is oversold. Like for instance here, see, when the price reached this level, so you are right here. And look what happens right after. It moves up. Okay, but right now, if I have a feeling it might still reach this level. This is a resistance area. That's a resistance area. If it reaches that, there's a big chance it will bounce downward and then go back to the support or to the bounce area, which is the MA20 line. So if I were you, just wait for the stock to dip and then bounce at the MA20 area. Okay. Now, please drop a comment if you want us to review your stocks or your preferred stock, and we can probably give you some guidance. Next, what about ICT? ICT, okay, ICT has already bounced. So this is what we call an engulfing candlestick. So this one is higher than the previous day's candlestick. And we have reached, this is a support area. So it hit that area twice. And then look, previously we are nearing the oversold level. And then right away, very quickly, the next day it bounced. So if you want to get in ICT, wait, the next day, probably tomorrow, if you can haggle and buy near the 129 area, 129.18 area, then that will be good. If you're in it as a trader, set your stop loss. I understand in the Philippine Stock Exchange, we do not have a feature where you can automatically set your stop loss, except for one platform. I know it's they call it AAA. I'll just research about it further and probably share some feedback or reviews about it in the coming days. But overall, if you're going to look at the weekly time frame, okay, if you're to look at the weekly time frame, ICT has been in an upward trend since June of last year. So this is just this is just the second major retracement for this stock, because the first one was when it hit the MA20 line back in October 22, and then it just rallied upward non-stop. And this is the first major, second major retracement, and it went a little lower than the MA20 line. So be extra careful, because in the weekly chart, okay, it might give you some gains, but could potentially go further downward in the coming weeks. But if we're talking about days, maybe it'll give you a chance, but just for a small gain. Your possible next resistance is in the MA20 line here. So how much is the potential reward or potential gain for you if you enter in this stock? I think it's just very minimal gain. Okay, if 8% is already good enough for you, then you can risk. But looking at the weekly time frame, it can, okay, or I hope I'm wrong, but it can potentially go further down in the weekly time frame. Let's talk about IRC. IRC is already very cheap. IRC is connected with the subway that will be constructed here in the Philippines. I think it'll connect Makati to BGC I'm not sure if it'll go as far as Mall of Asia, but it'll connect the neighboring cities of Makati. So there is a big project that is connected to IRC. And right now, we are already at a very cheap price for IRC. And it even ended today's price above the MA20 line. Okay, so that's a good sign and starting to trigger the upper Bollinger Band. Okay, so tomorrow if it gives us another green candle stick, then that's a good sign. Okay, and the volume. Notice the volume. There's a sudden spike in volume. Okay. What about RCB? Okay, RCB is already very high. So notice, guys, this is the candlestick. Each line, the color-coded line that you see is a candlestick. Now, sometimes you will see a candlestick that has like a tail. That's a wick. Okay, that's what we call a wick. At one point in today's market, the price has reached as high as 31 or 32 pesos. Okay, some people might have bought this stock at 32, and then within a day they lost how much? They lost 4.6%. Now, if you got in as an investor, just stay put, nothing to worry, especially because this is RCBC, nothing to worry. It's a bank, and if you want, when it dips, you can even buy some more. So that's the reason why it's really important to understand what your objective is when you engaged in a transaction or in a certain stock. Okay, so some of you might have sold your position because probably you're a trader and you don't want to risk your money to be stagnant for quite some time. What if it will not go back? It will retrace downward, and then you will not be able to gain revenue for in the coming days. But overall, let's evaluate the weekly time frame for RCB. Okay, see. So for long-term investors, you're at a good spot. This is already very cheap. Back in 2017, it even reached as high as 65. Okay, so if you are one of those who may have purchased some shares at this level, I hope you have already added some more shares so that your average as a whole will slowly be reduced. But for long-term investors, you are at the right timing because we are in a very cheap level for this stock. Next is PXP. PXP. Okay, PXP is starting to cross the MA20 line in a weekly chart. Let's look at the daily chart. Okay, so we're starting to get closer. We're now getting closer to the minor resistance here. The minor resistance, but overall, okay. So again, MA20, this is the MA20 line, and that's our bounce area. If you're going to look at the weekly time frame, it's starting to cross above the MA20 line. What about the revenue? Okay, good earnings for Q1, but they ended negative in the 2018 annual earnings. Okay, so just be extra careful because if it does not sustain, if it does not give us another green candlestick tomorrow, then it might, go on a sideways movement for several days. Meg is still July. Okay, we're done with the X date. It'll be released tomorrow. Congratulations to those who will be receiving cash dividends for Meg. This stock has steadily rallied upward since October last year. And but for me, if I am, wow, it confirmed a bounce at the MA20 area. Okay, you can give it a try, but the volume is starting to decline though. Volume here. So maybe consider other stocks because I really feel that this is already getting too pricey. But another thing to look at is net foreign buying. Net foreign buying was at 13.39 million in today's market. Okay. Next is JFC. Oh, we already talked about that. MBT. Yesterday I mentioned about MBT that we are at the perfect spot because we're nearing the MA20 line, and today it confirmed, it bounced. And overall, we're still, this is Metro Bank. Nothing to worry. And I think all the banks really, they were badly hit last 2018. Most of the banks really declined. They were bearish the entire year last year. And, one of the badly hit stocks last year is Metro Bank. Okay, it even reached as high as 109 at the beginning of at the start of the year, January 2018. It reached this level and it declined by, it dipped by how much? By 41%. The lowest was at, around November of 2018. And hopefully, this will now give us a slow incremental increase in the price in the coming days. JGS. That's in the weeklies. Let's try the daily chart. I think it has confirmed a support in this area. This is another blue chip company, so you shouldn't be scared of the slight dip in its performance. It'll recover. Another stock that declined for almost a year last year. Okay. Anything else? Do you have any stock you'd like us to review? BPI. BPI in the weekly time frame, you're already at the resistance area. Yep. But for the daily, it's starting to form a support here. But let's just be careful if tomorrow it goes lower than that. The next possible support is around the 86 area. It's just observe. But either way, BPI is BPI. Very, very stable. PLDT. PLDT is now starting to form a support in this area for several days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days straight. It hit this level and we're already here. Okay, so if you want, you can do a test buy and don't put all your money in one stock, because in case it does not perform well, then you lose everything. But take note, you only lose your money if you if you sell it. Okay, so let us say you got in at 1,200 and then the next day it goes down to 1,100. Then of course you'll see that your portfolio is red, you're negative. But if you're an investor, you see that negative, it's paper loss. If you sell your shares and then you get out of the position, that's a confirmed loss. So it's up to you. If your tolerance for that is high, you're not really bothered with the red portfolio, because you understand that one day it will eventually go up. Look, that's just the nature of a stock. There are days when it's up, there are days when it's down. Now, the big question is, how how can you cope with the stress that it might bring you when the price is at this level, when it's down? Okay, so ask yourself that. What's my objective? Am I a trader or am I an investor? Okay, and I'm also receiving a lot of inquiries about how to start their journey in the stock market. I would always say that purchasing a stock or a share in the stock market is easy. You can open an account in BPI Trade, BDO Nomura. I personally use COL Financial. Let me just share that with you. This is the platform I use. And in COL Financial, you can create an account for as low as 1,000 pesos now. Okay, just submit some documents to them, and if you just go further down, it gives you a breakdown of the documents you need to accomplish, and then right away they'll guide you, and once your account is already set up, uh, you can start funding it. When you create an account, it's really free. You just submit the document, they approve it, you can deposit 1,000 or higher than that. Now, once you're in COL Financial, you can start purchasing. It's easy. Uh, or if whatever platform you're going to use, it's easy to buy and to sell. But the bigger challenge for all of us, including myself, is um, our ability to identify which stock will eventually give us a profitable gain. Which stock can bring us a gain someday. So that's the first challenge, looking for the right stock to engage in. Number two is acquiring the skill to identify when to enter a stock. Because if you have the money right now, it's easy. I click buy. Okay, I already have the number of shares I want, but is it really the right price? You might be buying it at a high amount when the next day it could potentially go down. And that skill is what we call technical analysis, understanding the chart, using those indicators I've shown you. So there are a lot of indicators, but I hope in the near future I can also conduct some um, lessons about it. But what I'm using right now, it's a Bollinger Band and RSI. Write it down. There are a lot of YouTube videos that will really help you understand these indicators. I personally have learned everything online. No one taught me. I also watch the videos from Alex Once, Lloyd Bazaar, Money Growers, Martin Germo. So these are the good YouTubers, and I've learned a lot from them. They've managed to simplify this very intimidating medium for investment. So when we sometimes say stock market, it's only for the rich. We'd say it's only for the rich. It's so complicated. It's gambling. But these folks who made videos in YouTube, um, they managed to simplify things. Watch Lloyd Bazaar every day. He has a live video as well discussing um, the different stocks. And that's it. Okay. So if you have some questions, go ahead and drop a comment or just message me. I know a lot of you guys have already reached out to me, and I try my best to answer all of your questions in a private message. But um, you know, let's try to grow this page. I want to be an instrument of knowledge in the world of stock market. But there are a lot more. Those people I've mentioned, go search for them, and I hope you'll get a lot of learnings as well. And that is it for tonight. Thank you guys for watching, and you have a good night. Okay, bye bye for now.